Hi everyone. I wanted to talk today about the new moon that's occurring in Capricorn and also the time of Epiphany. As a shaman and astrologer, it's important for me to observe and work closely within current time cycles. There are always many different time cycles in operation. For example, sun and moon cycles, Jupiter cycles, Saturn cycles, just to name a few. It is my intention to explore what I think they represent and how we can best work with them over the coming months. But today I want to talk about the shift from what is known as Christmastide into where we are now, which is Epiphanytide, and what that means. I like to work a lot with the sun and moon cycles simultaneously, as it adds more potency and strength to any endeavour or project we undertake. It means that the masculine and feminine energies are both represented. The moon is about to become new again in Capricorn. It is undergoing its own rebirth. From an astro-shamanic point of view, this means that the rebirthing process begun at winter solstice for the sun has now also occurred for the moon. I do realise that the moon does not have a solstice and that it does not stand still like the sun does, etc. But what I'm referring to is the passage of the planets through the zodiac signs. As I stated in my previous video, Janus rules the young and the old. So this passage of the moon into Capricorn represents making new of the old. Hence why I talk about the moon being reborn. This goes for every planet going through Capricorn, by the way, and also explains why our Saturn returns can be such watershed times in our lives, because he makes the old things new again in some way. The last full moon, on the 27th of December, was in Cancer, which provided us with the full spectrum of energy on the Capricorn-Cancer axis, which rules the future and the past respectively. The Cancer and Capricorn axis rules family, mothers and fathers, old and young. It rules legacies and the transmission of legacies of all kinds, including genetic gifts and talents, things that are in the blood. And it rules the transmission of these legacies through the generations. This planetary influence of Cancer and Capricorn around Christmastide and the themes of legacies and gifts is why it is such an optimum time to reflect upon where we've been and where we are going. However, because we live in a time dominated by the solar calendar, we tend to ignore the lunar aspect, and we can miss when these influences are at their strongest and most potent. The closing festival of Christmastide is that of Epiphany, or Three Kings. After Twelfth Night, we move into what is known as Epiphanytide, which takes us all the way to Imbolc or Candlemas at the beginning of February. In places such as Spain and in Orthodox Christian countries, Epiphany or Three Kings is still a big deal. In some places it is even called Old Christmas or Little Christmas, and it is because that is when either Christmas was celebrated or when presents are exchanged and opened, which represents the three wise men bringing gifts to the infant Jesus. In Orthodox traditions, Epiphany, or Theophany as it is known, celebrates the baptism of Jesus in the River Jordan and his wedding of Cana miracle, where he turned water into wine. The basic theme of the Christian traditions is a recognition and acknowledgement of the arrival of a new force from an outside authority. It represents the acknowledgement of the heir, even if the heir is only in their infancy. This representation is not limited to the biological, but can also represent the handing over of a spiritual tradition or recognising a future apprentice. In terms of spiritual growth, this acknowledgement is key and represents an acknowledgement from ourselves as who we are or were at the end of the year just completed, from our future self who wishes to come forth this year. So in a nutshell, it's about our future self communicating with where we are now and telling us where we should go this year. For now though, with both the Sun and Moon in Capricorn, we are entering a lunation which is very supportive of plans, strategies and future projections. This lunar cycle is a great time to plan how we want to bring our goals for the year to fruition. It can also be used as part of a bigger cycle as well. For example, if you are using a Mars cycle, which usually covers projects lasting roughly 2 to 2.5 years. So this could be, Mars cycles tend to work well with career goals or long-term fitness goals. If you use the lunisolar calendar, that can be a useful way to break these goals down into smaller chunks. So say for example, you set an intention about a year ago to run a marathon. Well, last year in 2023 could have been all about getting fit and in shape, whereas this year in 2024 you will begin your marathon training in order to compete in one within the next 12 to 18 months. This is why Capricorn energy is so crucial, as it considers how far along we currently are in goals we are working on, as well as where we wish to be. In this way, Capricorn time is a time of conception energy, of building, of dreaming, and then planning how the dream will become a reality. So this lunar cycle, especially the first 2 weeks of this lunar cycle up until the full moon, is a very good time to consider what you want to achieve this year. It's also, by the way, one of the reasons why this month or this time is replete with customs and traditions such as cold water swimming and wassails, etc. It's all about waking up the spirit within and asking it to rise after the winter slumber so that the work of the current solar cycle can begin. In this way, the focus is already on the coming autumn harvest, which will occur when the Sun and Moon have completed their annual Earth cycles in Virgo. What do you want to harvest this year? How much of that is achievable? As we move through this lunar cycle, bear in mind that the full moon will be in Leo, which represents creativity, romance and youth. Around that time, it is best to listen to your inner child within, because its voice will be very strong, and see what it wants to create this year and how you can best grow yourself. We make living very hard these days, but by working with these cycles and timing our lives by them, it makes our goals much easier to achieve than when we put it off and then try to grow something new in October, for example. By living within these cycles, we learn to live and grow so that our lives can become fruitful and productive, whoever we are and whatever we do. Living within the cycles of the earth below and the heavens above also ensures we are doing our part to keep the order of the three worlds harmonious, flowing and balanced. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you next time. Bye.